Well, hello, good afternoon, and obviously a different location again. Um, this is actually the furthest edge of our land. This is the kind of on the boundary. This is a gorge, it's a beautiful gorge. We've had a lot of wind and a lot of rain just recently, so there's kind of a lot of water rushing down. But we can actually walk down through this gorge, certainly in the summertime. It's beautiful, completely undisturbed. Being down with the grandchildren, you can walk a long way down along the edge, and sometimes wading through the water. It's never terribly deep in the summer. Anyway, I'm here because I just came to check on the animals, and I brought the camera along. It's not a camera, it's an iPad type thing, and I thought maybe I can find somewhere out of the wind, so I thought I'll just drop down here and just talk about a few things. I've mentioned before that my wife grows a lot of herbs, and she processes them for medicines, for ointments, which we do use. Some things perhaps you'd call them weeds, like nettles, for example, a pest to everybody. But nettles are incredibly good and extremely useful. So my wife actually grows sections of our land. She'll actually cultivate, as it were, nettles, and she'll make nettle teas, nettle ointments. She'll extract the seeds and mix them with yogurts. I may have mentioned that before, and extremely good. Really, I can't give a very full explanation of this because I think, again, as I said in the past, my wife does the growing, and my wife understands herbs. I just fix things, and so she really is the one to talk about these things. We make ointments, or my wife rather makes ointments and tinctures and teas out of plants. Now, just to be clear, and this is just me, it is not a statement of fact. I've never been particularly won over by homeopathic medicines, but I certainly always have been okay with herbal remedies, simply because if you actually look at any of the pharmaceuticals that we have, by far the majority of those are effectively synthesized from plant chemical, as in they'll find a plant, a mushroom, a fungi, a weed, even flowering plants, and they will analyze the chemicals within those plants, and they will synthesize those. In that way, they can actually patent the product that they make, that then becomes a pharmaceutical. The only trouble is that they're extracting the particular active ingredient that they isolate for a particular condition, digitalis and so forth. There's loads of them. I mean, we all know them. We just may not realise that we know them. Anyway, they synthesize these things, and in so doing, in my view, they miss out perhaps trace elements that are within those plants, which help with the way in which they act upon a particular condition, whether it be a heart issue, a respiratory issue, an autoimmune issue, like, for example, eczemas and such. So what my wife does by processing the plant, I think it's probably, shall we say, more wholesome. Okay. So anyway, never a fond lover of homeopathic treatments. I'm not saying they don't work. I have tried some of them. Marginal with me, but herbal treatments certainly, because a lot of the herbs when you cross-reference with the pharmaceuticals that were prescribed, then you see, okay, that is from that plant. I mean, the one that we all know is aspirin, of course, right? Aspirin is just tree bark, okay, not any tree, of course. So anyway, my wife does this. Feverfew, by the way, for headaches. She grows feverfew. So she makes these ointments and she makes tinctures. She's very reluctant to give them out to people. Some members of family and some close friends, she will. Basically, she doesn't want. Oh, I must apologise. The sun, by the way, is possibly playing havoc with the picture quality. I have no idea at all how to actually do something about that. This is just a sort of tablet, a Samsung Galaxy tablet, something or other, anyway like that. And I have no idea how to allow for the sun, which is quite low in the sky at the moment. She doesn't want to create problems for herself, and of course, people are very litigious these days. Certainly in the US. I think you have that problem, but we certainly have the problem here in the UK and Europe as well. And also, quite factually and correctly, my wife also points out that if people are on pharmaceutical medication, then to give them herbal remedies, which are effectively unsynthesized pharmaceuticals, well, it can create problems. So it's kept very much for ourselves. And close family, and I can say for one that they are wonderful. I work because I work on old cars for people, simply because I'm old and I understand them, whereas modern people, modern mechanics don't really understand the old cars so much. Actually, funnily enough, they find them extremely complicated, when in fact they're the opposite. In any event. I also work, as you know, with trucks and road haulage, so I use cleaning chemicals and so forth when I'm working on a truck engine, and I received over the years some quite nasty skin damage from some of the chemicals that I've used. I'm very old school and perhaps stupid, and so I tend to not wear protection to my hands. And I got quite bad acid burning and scarring on my hands, which turned very nasty a year or so ago. Having had it for years, it just turned nasty, maybe because I'm getting older and my body couldn't cope quite so well. And it was my wife's ointments which the scarring is still there, but calmed the irritation down, the inflammation down, and allowed me to use my hands, my fingers again. They were becoming quite difficult to use. So why am I mentioning this? I think because just be aware. I don't know how widespread this is in the world. Again, you guys in the US, I think you've possibly got it because we do tend to mirror you, but slightly behind you, and certainly there is murmurings about how people should not grow their own food, should not have their own hens, should not use herbs that they've grown to make medicines for themselves or ointments, because this could be dangerous. Or not could be, but they say it is dangerous, and we could kill ourselves and make ourselves ill, and of course that makes us a burden on the health service, and so it's a selfish act, and so we shouldn't do this. If we want any help, go to our doctors. Our doctors just fill us up with chemicals. I am not anti-vaccine, by the way, although I certainly am not vaccinated against the current crop of nonsense they've been coming out with. But I'm certainly not an anti-vaccine. Mumps, rubella, smallpox, so forth, polio. I've had all those vaccines, and so have our kids. So I'm not anti-vax, not by any stretch of the imagination at all, nor am I actually anti-medicine. My family, I am the one of the only ones of my own family who is not in the medical profession. My father, my mother, my brother, medical profession, and so I understand the medical profession well. I grew up with it, and my father certainly was a distinguished consultant. So I am from a medical family. Perhaps what I'm not so happy about is the way medicine has gone in what, the last 30 years, maybe 40 years. I mean, I think I mentioned in one of my videos that my father, who was, as I say, a distinguished consultant, for a long time, however, he operated in general practice. This is because of some political views that he had, I suppose, really. In that time, he would regularly work way in excess of 100 hours per week. He was on call through the night, and at the weekends, patients would ring up, patients who were assigned to his practice would ring him up on a Saturday night or a Sunday night or a Monday night or a Tuesday night, anywhere through the week, and he would get in his car and he would go out. I mean, that doesn't happen now, but that's how it used to happen. It wasn't just my father who did that. That was a standard practice. Interestingly, in those days, he could carry in his car drugs and equipment, never had to worry about it. Again, that was during the 60s, the 70s and the 80s. Not so much the 80s, maybe the 70s for sure. Never a problem, never had an issue. Anyway, so I'm not anti-medicine, I'm not anti-pharmaceuticals, I'm not anti-vax. Herbs is not quackery. Plants provide the basic chemicals that are synthesized and used in pharmaceuticals. Why do they send people researchers out into the rainforest, for example, looking for new plants to see what's in those plants that they can synthesize and sell? Where was I? Yeah. So I'm okay. I'm kind of level about this. But there are others on another side of this argument who are not, and who want this whole thing banned. They want the growing of your own food banned. They want having your own animals for your own eggs banned. They want the growing of herbs for making ointments and medicines banned. For our own safety, because we do not understand what we might be doing to ourselves. We are obviously ignorant people. And we need looking after, we need protecting. Well, you can all guess what I think of that. Some of the people who are doing this are actually young people. You would think it would be otherwise. Actually, I do have to say that my wife was mentioning to me that she'd been watching some young lady sitting in some Starbucks type cafe, making a video asking people to send her a coffee. I understand that means send some money, in order for her to keep producing videos demonstrating and protesting about the use of oil and how the oil industry needs to be stopped, and we need to just stop all of it now. And as my wife pointed out, this young lady was sitting in a Starbucks drinking coffee, and using her iPhone or whatever to film herself. And the thing is that what I think a lot of people, maybe of my age, maybe younger, I don't know, what we would like in particular is for these young people to actually stop it themselves. Stop using oil, stop using products that have been made from oil. There'll be no plastics to sit on in your Starbucks, nor will Starbucks be there, because the equipment they use requires the petrochemical industry to produce the plastics to make the machines work. So there'll be no plastic bags for taking litter out, the streets will be strewn with litter because the plastic wheelie bins and so forth. And so I could escalate. No, in fact, the streets will probably be empty of people, because if you stop the petrochemical oil industry, then think about what this will affect. It's a far-reaching industry. We can't just stop it. It would be nice to think that people who were, for example, students and protesting against causes, in the name of causes that they feel are important, it would be nice to think that they could actually analyse what they're doing, think about what they're saying, think about the implications, and have a level-headed discussion about what we need to do, things that we don't need to do, things that we need to worry about, things that we maybe don't need to worry about, things that we can do to mitigate those things which are currently maybe essential, but which maybe we can work ourselves away from given time. So what can we do to mitigate in the meantime? It would be nice to think that people could actually analyse to that extent, but it doesn't actually happen. So yeah, all you young folks out there, the clothes that you're wearing, petrochemical industry, oil industry, the equipment you're using to record things, oil industry. You want us to go vegan or vegetarian, no problem. I mean, to a large extent, my wife is vegetarian. I mean, she will eat meat, but she doesn't need it, and she's not bothered whether she has it or whether she doesn't have it. So no problem with people who are vegetarian, and no problem with people who want to be vegan. I mean, just don't push it on other people, because whilst you talk about the cruelty to animals, well, we have a world where we want to get rid of animals because they pass gases out. It's their fault now that there's so much methane being released. So it's also cruel to animals. It may be cruel to actually exterminate them as well, by the way. But also, we use biological matter in some of the electrical equipment, like iPhones, like laptops. We use, I'm not sure how to describe it, biological matter from cells in animals for some of the parts in our modern equipment. Will that be stopped, or is that something that we don't want to stop because, well, we kind of like that one? So it's a bit like, I'm going to eat healthily, but can I have that piece of chocolate, please? Now, I have nothing against chocolate. I love chocolate. I eat far too much sugar. Anyway, there we go. It was just a little video. As I said, there might be another time. If you want, I can come down here. I came down to check on the animals because of the winds we've been having. As I say, I tucked myself down here to get out of the wind. But I mean, if you guys actually want to see any more of where we actually are, what the land is like, then do say so. And when I come out on my little wanderings or meanderings to check on things, I'll bring this rather clunky tablet and try and film. I always have to find sheltered spots like this. So there we go. Thank you very much for listening. It's only been a short video, and meandering is well in thought. Let me know what you think. Leave a like. Tell me if you want to see more of this kind of thing. And I'll speak to you all later. In the meantime, bye bye for now.